I'm Alli. I came out after 20 years of marriage, and I have 3 kids.
I'm Melisa, and I have 2 kids, and I came out at 37 after an 11-year marriage.
This podcast is about coming out later and the struggles and victories that come with it.
When coming out feels like the end of the world, but it's really just the beginning.
This is the Lesbian Chronicles.
Say welcome to the Lesbian Chronicles.
Welcome to the Lesbian Chronicles. I guess that's going to be my new job.
I'm like, I wish we had something else. I don't know.
Let me tell you why, though, it should be me, because when I listened to like the little intro that we made forever ago, I feel like mine is so lame compared to yours.
It is?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm like, hi, I'm Alli. Like, it just is like so, I kind of want to redo it.
I kind of do too, because I don't like the way I say my name. Let's be fully honest. I don't like the way I say my name in the intro.
And I don't like the way I'm like, I'm Alli, and I came out after 20 years. Like, it's all too much.
You think you overdid it?
I think I overdid it. I think I want to go back now as the new me.
I mean, we did that in like one take.
I know. Let's do it again. And until we do it again, I'm going to take welcome to the Lesbian Chronicles.
So you can just make up.
Yeah, I want to make up for being a loser with being cool.
I don't think you're a loser.
Well, just in that intake.
Oh God. I wouldn't say I felt like a loser last night, but I definitely felt old.
Really? That's why I don't put myself in those situations.
Right. And it's funny because to sit here and think about all the times that we tell people like, oh, just go for stuff, like show up to an event, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I did last night. I went to an event by this group called Southern Fried Queer Pride.
Cool.
Here in Atlanta. I know. It was really
What
cool
made
name.
you go? Like, what prompted this?
So I know that they do open mic, and they had done one last month in like packed house.
Okay.
And it's an open mic in respect that you can do anything. Like you can do spoken word poetry, you can play music, you can
I could bring my dog up there and do dog tricks.
Yeah, if you wanted to.
Okay.
Like literally anything.
Okay.
And a friend of mine went last month and she was like, it was great. Like you should definitely come and like do a set. And so last night was a little different though, because they did it at like a community center, like the little 5 Points community center.
Okay.
Like literally looked like textbook community center, like cement walls, metal chairs, the whole nine.
Yeah.
But they had it set up to where it was like a vision board party.
Ooh.
So like,
which is what we wanted to do.
It was cute. Like,
yeah.
Like literally they have like, scissors and magazines and construction paper, glue sticks, markers, so people could like create their little vision boards.
Yeah, oh, it's my dream.
And so while that's happening, like people are getting up and doing their thing.
Is anyone paying attention?
Yes. I mean, I will say some people I felt like weren't getting like proper attention because people get distracted, And I think also when people are playing music sometimes, people almost feel like they have permission to continue with their own conversation.
Okay.
Kind of, like when you're at dinner or something and there's a live band playing, you don't like stop and stare at them and listen the whole time.
Yeah.
So, but all in all, it was a very cool event. I love, like, they're super inclusive, like down to putting down like accessibility for how to get into the building. Like it's 3 to 5 steps. So like if someone's like has difficulty walking or whatever, like they know ahead of time what it's going to be like to get into the place. So I really appreciated that. The thing that made me be like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Is like Marina and I were like literally the oldest people in the room.
Oh God. You're the mom.
I felt
friends.
like the mom. Yeah. 100%. And they're all like early 20s.
Oh, they're they're like my daughter.
They're babies.
They're teenagers.
And they're all like queer and trendy.
Oh, yeah. Excited. Life hasn't beat them up yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're still excited about what the future holds.
And I'm like, I'm in there and I tried to look as trendy as I could with my little
You look
Brick and
trendy
Batten
now. Yeah.
hat.
I know. Shout out to Brick and Batten.
Yes.
You were repping.
I was, and I got a compliment on the hat
Thank
too.
you. Thank you. I would love to say I picked it out, but I didn't.
You didn't?
Well, I mean, I had final say, but I definitely was a lot of talk about how that logo was going to get placed.
Oh, yeah. I like the placement of the logo.
Thank
it's
you.
like offside.
Yeah.
So
that's
cool.
Brick and Batten.
Follow them on Instagram.
For all those listening. Yeah, follow us on Instagram.
I know. I was waiting for the guy to be like, what brand of hat is that? Be like, well.
Just tell him anyway. Tell him anyway.
Yeah. Can they order hats on your website?
You know what? We're about to start having merch on there. I didn't really understand why, but I guess it's like a very easy thing to have, because it's like if you have merch, if you sell it, great. If you don't, if you do, then it's like hats out there in the world.
Yeah.
But most of the time we just give merch away.
I mean, that's been on our to-do list for,
I know.
2 years?
I know.
We made hats.
Right.
We made like 30 and gave them away.
Yeah.
So if you own one of the Lesbian Chronicles hats, you
They're
have
vintage.
one of 30 in the world. So feel very lucky.
I know. It's funny because that hat you have on, my sister, I was with her not too long, and somebody was asking for a brick and batten hat, and Cassie was like, no, you're not getting one. I don't even have one.
Well, you don't have a Lesbian Chronicles hat.
I know. I don't have a lot because I gave mine away.
Yeah. I
it's
have
true.
mine, and I wear it all the time.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
You know who wears it is Owen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In
That's
his little
hilarious.
squatto.
I guess, is he like repping us? Is he?
He's just like thinks it's a cool hat,
Yeah.
so he wears it.
It fits well.
I'm thinking about, though, while you're talking about showing up for this like cool, young, hip party, that a party that I went to recently, like this is how big of a nerd I am compared to you, was a TED Talk party where you go and it starts at an appropriate time. I think it started at 7 p.m.
This started early.
And you get up and talk about like what you are kind of an expert at. So we had people talking about space, people talking about SpaceX.
Oh, wow.
People talking about Bitcoin, like things that are like they know a shit ton about.
Can I get up there and talk about being a lesbian?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Like they, anyone can. You sign up for a slot and you just listen to
I
people
wanna
talk.
go.
It honestly it's friends of ours that hosted it, but I literally left there smarter.
Yeah.
Like and you're having cocktails, but it's like you literally, like, it was fascinating to hear what people are into and like stuff that they know a shit ton about that I know nothing about.
Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah.
And like, yes, I made friends yesterday, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I was the youngest at my party.
okay, there we go. So you felt good.
I felt great.
I was like, I don't want to say how old I am. And in my set, I say how old I am. So I'm like, oh.
Well, remember, you could say 11 since someone thought you were.
Well, and that's
Reed's
part of my
friend.
set. Was the kid 11? Or I say 12 in my
He was 12. I
stand-up.
guess he is 12. He's a little older than me.
And I changed the kid's name to Cooper.
Yeah.
Because it just flows better.
It's actually, that's so funny to
But yeah,
me.
I have that story in my set.
I was thinking about when you do comedy, because I like things come up for me that then like this just happened. There's this comedian named Sebastian. I can't think of his last name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He has a Netflix special.
Yeah.
He's hilarious, I think. But I have this pet peeve with Maria that she legit did it on our first date. And it was kind of like bothered me enough that like it took me a while to get up the confidence and like call her out on it. He in his set was like, if I go out with someone and they do this, it's done. Like for me. And I was thinking about how, holy shit, I had the same thing.
Really?
But, and so I need to feed you some of these. I can't do comedy, but I could give you some scenarios that are funny as shit that you could work into your set.
Okay. Because a lot of my comedy is just like telling stories.
Yeah, right.
So, because people are always like, well, tell a joke. I'm like, well, do you have a few minutes while I tell you the story?
Exactly. Exactly.
But I think what that's called, what you're talking about, is getting the ick.
Okay, getting the ick.
Yeah.
Okay, when
you get an ick about somebody. Like they do something and
Yeah.
you're like, like, I don't know about that.
That's what happened.
I more so hear it with straight relationships, though. Like a woman seeing a man like do something that's just kind of like,
yeah.
oof, like what
That's
are you
gross.
doing? Like,
yeah.
I just saw a video on TikTok of a guy jumping on a trampoline with his kids, but he's jumping on all fours and like arching his back as he jumps.
It's done.
And yeah, I'm like, that's the ick for me.
You are done.
If I saw that,
that is like a prophylactic.
I'd be like,
get out of here.
I'm on the phone with a
thank you.
divorce attorney.
Yes, exactly. I can't do it. I cannot have sex with you again. Have you ever heard of like what it is if you break the glass for somebody? Like this is from God. There was a sitcom where they bring it up. Like if you tell me something weird about someone that I never noticed, once you tell me,
oh yes,
it's like you've broken the glass.
It's an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. That episode is so true. Like Maria broke the glass for me recently on my dad. She said this thing that my dad says. She's like, your dad says it all the time. I'm like, I've never heard him say that. After she told me that,
now you notice it all the
time. He says it all the time.
Oh my god.
She broke the glass.
Yes, I love that episode.
I do
it
too.
actually has like one of my favorite quotes where Marshall, he doesn't realize how loud Lily chews. And then they point it out to him and he's like, are you eating cereal or drywall screws? It's fucking hilarious.
It's true.
It is
Once
true.
someone tells you,
Once
it's
someone
like,
points
whoa.
it out. Because it is kind of like, I guess that's the little hill you have to get over when you introduce someone to your friends.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are they going to notice that I'm overlooking right now?
Yeah. Yep.
And your friends will always see it.
Oh my God. They'll be like, what the hell?
But then you have to navigate, like, is this friend, like, really rooting for me? Or are they, like,
sabotaging me. Yeah.
So,
I know.
it's a fine line.
Did you ever feel like I was sabotaging you when I didn't like some of yours? I only really didn't like one. Let's
I
be
would
clear.
say you only didn't like one. No, because initially you liked her initially.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So it wasn't until things
Progressed.
happened
Right.
that weren't right.
Valid.
So yeah, she gave reason.
Fair enough.
You know what? We should take a quick break.
Okay, let's dive in because I like this topic.
Oh yeah. So we put out the call on Instagram, and you guys have done a great job of responding. And I was just thinking about this for myself. Like, honestly, I was like, what would I have wanted to hear from me?
Yeah.
You know,
Looking back.
5 years ago, what would I like myself to be told? Although I don't know what I would want to be told. I haven't thought about that. But I did ask the question to people on Instagram, to those on the other side of coming out, what advice would you give your past self? And
it's funny because I didn't even know you posed the question, and I'm seeing people I'm seeing DMs like flash up on my, somehow on my phone. I'm seeing stuff come in, and I'm like, what is this? What's happening?
Are we going viral?
No, not viral.
Not yet.
Yeah.
All right. First piece of advice. You will grieve, but you will be free, and it's going to be amazing. You will win. Aw.
Okay. Yeah. I would say that is true. The timeline on that is going to be different for everybody. But I would add to that the grieving process, I thought I would get divorced, I would grieve, I would have my friends, I'd lean on my family, and then come out of it with a big smile and be on my way. And for me, it still comes in waves.
Yeah.
The grief years later.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where you don't feel like you should feel grief because you chose it.
Yeah.
But I feel that way.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while I'll be like, that happened.
Yeah. Right. Like what in the world?
I'm not married to that guy anymore.
Yep.
It's like your brain almost goes back.
Right.
You know? This one says, you're not alone. I just got a phone call. Okay, let's start that over again. You're not alone. Your feelings are valid. You're allowed to do things differently than what everyone else has done. And follow that up with, you don't need anyone's permission or blessing to be your true self. I feel that, because I felt like, I felt a lot of pressure from the approval of my parents. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of weird to me that, I didn't know that until I told my parents and they were fine. The relief that I felt after that. And it's kind of weird. We don't realize where we're placing that weight.
It's true. I think that's such a good point is every time when I told my sister, I felt great relief. When I told my parents, I felt even bigger relief. I think that is really true. But I guess I remember having a conversation with Jamie about how when people are you go through this process or whatever, and then you come out the other side. I do think that what you're scared of is real. It's not, I guess my point is when people are oh, you can always change your mind, or nothing's permanent. Jamie would always say, it's not like you're saying I'm moving to China and you can never come back from China. Mm-hmm. You can come back, but the truth is, if you do choose to come back, you've given up a lot in the process.
Yeah.
So I think that always scared me, when people would try to make me feel better with nothing's permanent or you're allowed to change your mind. It's I don't know. I felt I'm allowed to change my mind, but I will have given up everything.
Right. And that's just it. You can't go back.
You can't go back.
I mean, majority of the time.
Yeah, not the way that it was.
Back.
Yeah.
You are making a lot of permanent decisions.
Right. So do you make those decisions, and then if you did want to come back, your life is going to look drastically different. Even if, let's say, your husband is okay, great, I'll take you back. Let's do this again, and we're going to try again. It's still permanently different.
Mm-hmm. And what would your sex life look like in that case? Is that a thing that you go back and you're let's be together and sex is just off the table.
I go back to faking it.
I go back to faking it. I go back to getting really drunk so that I'm black out and I don't remember.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, I guess that's what we're doing here.
Guess we got to stock up on the vodka.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I don't know.
But it's interesting to say you don't need anyone's permission because, I mean, I did feel that. Like, and you know, like you're saying with each person's approval, it was like that approval was their permission.
Yeah, it was.
Technically.
Yeah.
And that's what made us feel better in the process.
Right.
Was
You're
that
right.
permission.
Yeah.
And you're doing it like subconsciously. You
Yeah,
know,
you don't
I was
even know.
on the train. I was going, but it was like, I guess it kept the train from stalling out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like to hear that people like weren't going to hate me forever.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yep. And that was their permission. The relief you felt was like clearly them giving you the A-OK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Give yourself the time you need to mourn the future you thought you would have, but now won't. Oof.
That one's a hard one.
It's because it's a total like mindset shift.
And for most of these people, and I'll say most because I believe that's true. In my group, it was 90% of these people have a catalyst. They have a relationship they're already into. Mm-hmm. Even though we all know that's not the best way to do it, we all do it.
Yeah.
So it's like you end up, it becomes so nebulous in that time of like you're healing, but you're also so excited about this new person that you can't possibly grieve a marriage or grieve the life you thought you were going to have because you're too excited to go out Saturday night with this woman you're into.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you haven't had to face it yet.
And like as a long-term couple being married, you make a lot of plans for life.
Yeah, you
know?
do.
Like it's not just like, okay, we're going to have kids and then those plans stop. It's like, you know, we had plans to take the kids back to Europe.
Yeah.
And do trips there and go to Australia as a family. And
where do we want to retire?
Where do we want to yeah, all
I
of
love
that.
this place. Like, yeah, no, it's all that goes away.
And even now it's like I don't have solid plans for that. And
Yeah.
it feels weird. It feels uncomfortable.
Totally.
You know?
I could see that. Do you guys ever talk about, I know you're dating, you're not totally like living together and in that situation yet, but like we talk about sometimes like how we see retirement later. And it's interesting. Like I find myself constantly reminding her of like what I already plan to do.
Okay.
Kind of like, you know, I hope you know this is what it's going to look like.
This is what we're going to do.
This is what we're doing. And sometimes she's always like, yeah, you know, I'm with you. Like whatever you want to do. I'm like, okay, but no, really though, like this is what's probably happening. And sometimes she'll like say like, God, I've always dreamed of having like a farm and I want a cow.
Like that's not on the to-do
that
list.
wasn't in the plan.
I want a cow.
She does. She'll say like, I want to have a cow someday.
Don't have a cow,
on a
man.
farm, and I don't have a cow. But I'm always like, well, that's cool. Like we could go visit a farm, but I don't know if you remember.
Go visit a farm. I don't know about owning.
Did you remember the plan?
I guess your plan doesn't have any cows involved.
Well, I mean, I'd be down to have a farm, but I mean, the reality is like there's only so many places you can actually live, and I've already got
have a cow
places that I'm wanting to do. So I do find myself continually reassessing that to make sure she's still on board with what's happening in 20 years.
You know what would be a great gift? You know how you can like adopt a polar bear or like a sea turtle?
Adopt a cow.
You adopt a cow and you'd be like, here is your cow. You can track it.
You're going to track
It's going to stay on this 30-acre plot of land for eternity.
Track it online.
Its name is Clarabelle.
Keep an eye on her. Maybe someday we'll go visit.
Maybe we can meet one day.
I think too, like the farm, like I have these friends who did a farm. They sold this like beach place and did this huge farm, and they have this kick-ass old farmhouse that they renovated. I mean, it's magical. Like I see the allure, but like 5 to 7 years in, they're kind of like, it was super fun, but we're ready to, like, we're moving on. Like it's a lot of work.
And that is something, you know, I write for this company that does videos for financial advisors.
Yeah.
And one of the topics that we cover a lot is like, being retired and actually like you can't just be like, oh, when I retire, I'm going to, you know, buy a farm and I'm going to live there and I'm going to raise all these animals and it's going to be my dream.
Yeah.
Like, but the reality is you've been living in the city your whole life and you know nothing about owning a farm.
Right.
And so they always tell people, like, test the waters first,
Yeah.
you know, visit a farm.
See if you like
And,
it.
You know,
Yeah.
like start learning about this stuff before you actually retire.
Right.
And I think that's like excellent advice.
Totally. Yeah. And of course now, you know, Tatum's doing farming in college. So she like also has the farm bug.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the two of them are like working on me for like the farm thing.
Okay.
And I'm just like, guys, this is dead in the water.
I gotta say, NYU's the last place I would think has like a farm program.
They have like vertical farming, urban farming.
Like in the city?
In the city.
Huh.
Yeah.
Are there cows?
There are no cows. I could do that kind of farming.
Yeah, no kidding. Same. Like, sign me up.
Yeah.
Some goats, that would
Exactly.
be wonderful.
Oh, God. They
I love
goats. They love goats, too. Oh, my God.
Goats are fun.
Yeah.
All right, next piece of advice. Get a therapist and date as much as possible.
Date? Is she saying date around?
Yeah,
Okay.
like date
yeah.
around.
Yeah. Okay.
And I do agree.
Yeah.
I will asterisk that but don't hook up with everyone.
Okay. I might asterisk it with hook up with everyone.
See?
Just kidding. What do I know?
I think people, you know, it's like both sides of the coin. Yes, it would be lovely to hook up with everybody, but it's like everybody talks.
Yeah.
You know? And
It's kind of a
everybody's
small-
so intertwined.
Right. I'm kidding. I don't think that's a good thing to do.
Like,
I'm totally joking.
I don't know how things would have gone with me and Marina if there was like certain people like in her circle, if I had like dated them or something. I don't know.
Do you think, though, that, like, one thing I'll say about the dating when you first come out is that we had friends that were dating around a bunch online, and it was almost like killing them. Like, it was almost like hurting the cause of coming out because they would be like, it's so depressing. Or
Right. It's
so discouraging. Or for every, 10 connections I make on this online forum, 0.5% are real prospects.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or
Well,
not.
it is very discouraging.
Yeah.
And it's like almost like this dating app depression that like sits over
dating
you.
app depression.
Because
Dad.
you're Dad.
We got dad, and then we also have sexual anxiety disorder, sad.
Yes.
Sad and dad.
Sad and dad. But it's like, because I remember being on there and seeing someone where it's like, oh, wow, like this person really seems great.
Yeah.
I'm attracted to
Yep.
them. They seem cool.
Yep.
I would love to connect. But you can only connect if you match. And so it's like you can swipe right on them, but
They
then
may
if
not
they
swipe
don't
on you.
swipe on you, then that's that. And I remember being like, oh man, like that person didn't match, and like there's nothing you can do about it.
No.
And then on top of that,
That
like
hurts my feelings.
it does, it hurts, and it's like, but this person doesn't. They just maybe they saw that I have kids or something,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
or that maybe they don't drink and I drink,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Where's I going with this?
Yeah, it causes some anxiety and depression that makes you kind of discouraged.
Yeah. And the reality is like the numbers are against you, like you're reaching the end of your results. That's another thing that sucks. Like,
How do you know that? Like, what happens?
It will literally say like, there is no one else in your area.
But like, I remember one time Melena showing us this person who like, she was getting kind of frustrated, but there was like some woman on there that had like this, I don't know, like looking at her gave me anxiety because it was just like, I think she had like taste the rainbow as her quote. Uh-huh. And then it was just like this cheesy, if you're listening, I'm so sorry, but like, let me help you with your profile. Anyway, but I remember even like for her being discouraged. Like she's flipping
like,
through. She's like, this is what I'm talking about.
Like, yeah.
And I'm like, shit, man, sorry.
Well, that's what I mean. Like you're not going to think every person on there is attractive.
But are you going to think 1 out of 10?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10 is not bad.
But also I found, and I know I've said this before, I'm more picky when it comes to women. Like, and maybe that's just my age. Maybe I just know what I want more.
But don't you think we all say that? I think everybody's like,
maybe
I'm
it's just
picky.
an age thing.
Yeah.
Because dating in my 20s is far different than dating in my late 30s and 40s. Mm-hmm. Like, I know a little bit more of like what I'm attracted to than I did back then.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
So.
But did you ever get that feeling of like looking at this, there's no one out there. These people are not me. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to find anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel like that all the time.
Yeah.
I would delete the apps on a regular basis
Yeah.
and just fucking throw the whole thing away. Like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well, fine. Like, I'll re-download. I'll see
who's there now.
I'll
And then
try
does it
different
change
apps.
weekly?
Yeah, I mean, new people are getting on and off of there all the time.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, it's like, you never know who's really ready to be on there.
Yeah.
Because some people get on, and this is my theory for anyone who did not swipe right on me. That I liked, is that maybe they were just on there for an ego boost. You know, they're not on there truly like shopping.
How big of a narcissist are you if you're on there for an ego boost?
Oh, trust me. No, that's like some people.
Like you need someone to swipe on you to feel good.
Someone gets out of a relationship, or they're on the cusp of their relationship ending. Maybe they're taking a break. I would say a lot of people, their first move is to download a dating app because they want to see what's out there. They want to feel better about what's ending. And their way of doing that, like, yeah, back in the day, it used to be like, oh, me and the girls were going to go out to the bar and meet someone. Now it's like you download the dating app. And
what happens, though, if, okay, now you just got dumped, you're really down, it's tough times, depressed. You get on the thing, nobody's swiping on you, and the prospects are hell.
Then your depression gets worse.
Yeah, then the dad comes back.
The
dad comes roaring back. Okay.
It's a risk. It's a risk.
Okay. So this all stems from her saying to get out there and date. I agree. And maybe just do it another way. Do dating apps and
meetups.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends you're looking. Ask if they have prospects. I mean,
I do have friends that like let me know that, hey, I'm single if you know anyone. Mm-hmm. And I'm always like, oh, cool. Yeah. Let me think about that.
Right. But I try to think about it like genuinely.
Me too.
Like, not like, be like, oh, yeah, I know someone who's gay, and just like throw them together. You know, you really have to think, like,
what are they into?
Would this actually fit?
Yeah.
Personalities and all that stuff.
Right.
I think a lot of people will just be like, they're gay, let's put them together.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm like, that's not the only requirement.
It's like one of like probably the last thing that's like interesting.
Right.
I mean,
go through the laundry list and be like, last one, are you gay? Okay.
Yeah, okay. And if you're gay. Okay, good.
We'll work. We can be more than friends.
Exactly.
All right. Next up, we have, she wrote 3. All right. Number 1, there's no such thing as the right thing.
Yeah.
I like that.
I do too.
There is no right way to do this. There is no right anything.
No, and there is no right. Like, I often wonder if I think there's a multitude of people that could be great for you. Like, so I don't think you should like worry, you know, if the catalyst doesn't work out, it likely won't. You're not freaking out.
Yeah.
You know, there's other people out there.
Ooh, I feel like we need to circle back to that because that's true. Number 2, doubt is part of the process. It doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong.
And doesn't mean, I agree with that.
And number 3, just keep going. Keep doing the next step.
The next step. Keep moving the chains.
Moving.
Yep.
It's just like running a race.
It really is.
You're not wrong and you're not crazy.
Yeah.
I like that you're not crazy because I felt like I was
Well, you're a little crazy, but definitely not wrong.
Me personally.
No, I agree with that too. I think go back to that really quick too. There's no right or wrong. It's also not right or wrong. Like I remember I would tell Jamie, like, I have to do this or this. I have to do A or B. What do I do? Do I go or do I stay? A or B, A or B. And she was like, there's no, you choose A and B was right and now you're screwed. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like you could go down either path and have probably a great life. It's just what's more right for you and what information do you have at the time. Like there's so many factors that play in, but there's no like total wrong answer.
Yeah. And no total right answer.
Isn't
this fun? It's like a riddle.
It is.
Feels like Alice in Wonderland. Trust yourself and don't apologize for being you.
Are you somebody who, like, I struggle? I'm a second guesser, third guesser, fourth guesser, weigh the odds, check all the data, recheck the data.
100%.
Are you a list. Make a list. But there are some people who aren't, like, my sister is not a second guesser. She will put her foot down and be like, this is what we're doing. Never looks back. I
feel like that's rare.
It is. And like, I am the opposite. Mm-hmm. Like I will literally call Maria about something we've already totally talked about and be like, I thought about it some more. And I'm not sure that that's the right approach.
Yeah.
And it's like, why can't I just make the decision and move on? Mm-hmm. So I wonder too, if like my personality doing this is even more destabilizing.
Yeah. I think so. But like, I think the majority of the people, like, that's how they handle stuff. Like, they're going to question.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really rare when someone's just like, this is it, I'm doing it. And I can't even say that wasn't me in the least.
Right.
You know, I was sitting there like pros and cons. Like,
Yeah.
what do I do? Like,
right.
I would probably be married still.
I know.
If things hadn't progressed the way that they did. You
Yeah.
know?
Right. I know that's one reason to thank the catalyst.
And a husband who met someone very quickly.
Yeah, valid.
So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it kept you from kind of running back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about when we were doing the podcast, like if I went back, how would I just come on the show and talk about, hey.
I'd go into witness protection. I'd move to Hawaii.
I'd be like, has anyone seen Melissa?
I would disappear off the planet. I would never admit I was wrong.
Would you still do that, or would you just pretend you were friends with him and at this thing
And just not telling? No, I mean, I can't imagine that. Honestly, it's like, what kind of life would I lead in that situation?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not one to be closed off. I'm so like,
live out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't. There's no way. All right. Next up. I like this one. Tell anyone standing in the way of your true self they can fuck right off.
Oh, that's the one I saw come across my screen.
And you were like, what's happening?
I was like, damn.
Oh, that one's funny. Now, I know that you can't like tell grandma to fuck right off.
Right.
But you can adjust your relationship with people.
Yeah.
And how much you let them in.
It's true. And then it opens up space. I mean, I think about all the friendships I had before that I don't have now that they didn't leave me. There was no space left. Like, that was a season, it's done. Mm-hmm. They weren't, they weren't jumping up and down to be part of this new thing. So moving onward and upward.
Yeah.
And
like we've said, it's like our circle has expanded so much more.
Right.
Like, I have probably 5 times more friends than I did back then.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's long, so I'm just going to go for it. I wasn't prepared for the grieving I would need to do for my past life. I was out for about a year and a half before I really started processing everything, and at the time it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm also very femme and was told by a queer friend I may have trouble navigating the community because I don't really look queer. I gave that way too much power and often felt like I didn't belong, which is not true. It kept me from connecting with the community. Feeling worthy of my queerness despite my femininity and despite coming out later in life has been a huge journey for me. Finally, I initially thought that if I wasn't straight, I must be gay. Now I know so much more about queerness, sexuality, and fluidity. It has been very interesting to explore and has meant challenging my belief systems and internalized homophobia. She followed it up with, I would have given myself time and space to grieve and told my 39-year-old self that I am enough. My 44-year-old self is busy doing the work and exploring and enjoying my amazing queer self. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that whole like being seen in the community is really poignant.
Yeah.
Because like, I spent so many years trying not to look gay.
Yeah.
And trying to dress like how everybody else dressed, And so when I was like coming out, it took a lot for me to kind of like shift that image, I guess.
Right.
At first I was like, oh, well, I'm going to be like hyper femme. I'm going to wear dresses all the time. I'm going to wear heels. I'm going to change what it means to be gay, whatever.
Right.
And then I realized like how uncomfortable I felt.
Yeah.
And how I was drawn to certain clothing, like that's a little bit more gay, whatever. So I think it is one of those, and not to say that you should mold yourself to fit into the queer community. If you're femme, be femme, know? And I don't know that you necessarily have to walk into a space and feel like everybody sees you as queer. Just being there kind of shows that you are either queer or you are supporting the community. Also,
is there something cool about not knowing? Like, I don't know. Like, there's something to me, too, with I don't need to know. Like, I don't, can't I walk into a party and then find out later that you're here with your wife? And then I'm like, whoa, like, that's kick-ass.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's, it's like the little bungalow that's actually this kick-ass house that you never saw coming.
Absolutely. And that's kind of like, Marina is not presenting gay at all.
No.
Not in the least bit.
Yeah.
I can't even think of a single thing other than that she knows how to use tools.
Right.
That seems gay about her.
Right.
And so, but it's like, no one's ever like, wait a minute. You know,
Yeah.
no one's ever said anything, at least in my presence, like
Or
that.
I think, and maybe to her point in the email is more like that I go into this room and no one's going to know you're gay, so you're never going to get hit on. You're never
Yeah.
going to meet someone. But I do think what you said, it's like, for one thing, they can see it in other ways. It doesn't have to be that I look like I'm tomboy.
Right.
It can be that I'm at this gay event and then maybe it piques your curiosity about me. It could be that I have gay friends. I'm doing this podcast. There's other things that could lead you to that answer.
Yeah.
Besides me being a tomboy.
Well, and I think like sometimes people like femme presenting lesbians will think that like, well, I'm not going to be hit on like in a grocery store, you know,
Okay.
by another woman because I don't look
Then
gay.
you hit on them.
But the thing is, I'm not hitting on fucking anybody in a grocery store.
yeah.
Like, unless you're,
But could you stir up conversation in a grocery store, like somehow?
I mean, I guess you could, but that would be a long fucking shot for me to see some woman in the grocery store that I was like, oh, she's cute. And she has on like if I saw Marina in the grocery store.
Well, you're not going to hit on Marina because then it's like clearly she's straight.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
I see what you mean.
so, I mean, she's getting hit on by men.
Yeah.
But no woman's going to approach her
No.
unless they're really bold. I don't know.
Right. Which is actually very cool too.
It is.
So,
And, you know,
yeah.
like, so remember a few episodes ago, I brought up how that, there's that TikTok
Yeah.
chick that goes
Yep.
up to people and is like, hey,
And she's like,
can I get your
"Okay, I'll
number?
go."
Yeah, okay. Like, twist my arm, why don't you? You know, I think maybe.
What about the Abby Wambach thing, which is everybody is available?
Everybody's available?
Not
Or a
available.
little
I'm sorry.
gay?
Everybody is, no one's off limits to
No
me.
one's off limits.
Like,
She's
it doesn't
Abby Wambach.
matter. Yeah, but it's kind of like, I don't mean that, I don't know, I don't want to I don't remember how she said it, but her point was, I don't care if you're gay or straight. If I'm attracted to you, you're going to know.
She's going for it.
So is that okay too?
I mean, sure, if you want to go for it. If you want to take that risk.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would be so scared of in that situation.
I know. Remember how we talked about that? It's like,
What's the worst that's going to happen?
And we talked about
You
how
go up to someone.
yeah, they're not into it. Okay.
I thought you were cute. Can I get your number? Like, I'd like to hang out sometime.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. But it is scary. I shouldn't act like it's that easy since I haven't done it. All right. You are valid just as you are. You don't need to conform to any stereotype, label, or dress code. You can choose the label, if you want one, that feels most comfortable and authentic to you. There are no queer police. I like that.
There are no queer bullies. Okay.
No queer police.
Oh, queer police. I thought she said no queer bullies.
Well, are there?
Same
Maybe.
thing. Same thing.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No queer police. Because it's true.
Yeah.
It's like no one's going around the room and being like,
Are you gay?
Can I see your ID?
Yeah. Yeah, you can be whoever you want to be, and it can shift and change.
And letting go of those labels, I think, is really helpful in the early stages because
Right.
I feel like people immediately, they're like, okay, I'm coming out, but what am I?
yeah.
And it's like, that's just something else to occupy your brain where you don't have the space.
Yeah. No, you need to clear out the bandwidth for working on you and feeling good,
Yeah.
creating your tools to feel good. What would be your advice? If you could go back and what would you say to yourself?
Oof.
And not big generic, be you, the good vibes only.
Good vibes.
Give me real advice. I would say that, and I didn't do this, but I would literally say do whatever you can to come out and be alone. Like, have friends, build your community, create your toolbox, books, podcasts, exercise, sleep, work for at least 6 months, preferably longer, and don't get into a relationship. It's distracting. It's too much work at the beginning. It's good work, but it's not. It steals you away from the real work. That would be my advice.
I agree. I wish that I had educated myself a little bit more on a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Because I think I was very much taken off guard by, what a red flag is in a relationship. Like what's kind of,
Even though I was telling you all the time.
you were not with my first one.
No, you're not with your first one because I was in the same boat.
Yeah. It was more like we're talking about our relationships and going, are we dating the same person?
God. Like, oh.
So yeah, I wish that I knew a little bit more about dating and a little bit more of like what to be aware of and what rights my girlfriend had in my life.
Yeah.
Like I let her dictate too much of what was going on.
Yeah, and how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And yeah. I think even now, like in my relationship, like oftentimes we'll have an argument and Maria will say, well, you have lived in your marriage, you got no pushback. Like you weren't invested enough to have these issues, or like she'll justify our issues with, I've never had to deal with this before. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't have, it's abnormal what I had before. This is normal. And I think she's probably right in many ways, but it's like, I don't know enough. Like we've had therapy and I'm learning what's normal. But to me, it's like there's more discourse in a coming out later, getting together in your 40s, you've got kids, because we have a million things that could go wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the case with like any second marriage,
yeah.
You know?
But then layer in, I'm also figuring out who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
The anxiety around, I was this straight woman living in this house. I'm a mother, I'm a sister, and now I'm also a gay woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot to take on.
It's a lot to do.
I think that a little bit of conflict in a relationship is normal. Mm-hmm. You're not always going to like see eye to eye. It's not going to be like leave it to Beaver every day.
No.
But when it starts to be like really messing with your mental health, or, the fights are happening frequently, like daily, or there's threats of leaving, mm-hmm. I'm done with this, or like not talking about it, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that's when it's really unhealthy, toxic.
Yeah.
And my first relationship went really well for a few months.
Yeah.
Very sweet, very giving me the space for where I was. And then it suddenly just flipped. So I was trying to get that person back.
Yeah.
And
right.
I wish I just had realized more so what was happening there.
And
kind of the
you
game
feel
that was being played.
That, and even she didn't know. I mean, she didn't know what
and that's just it. I don't think she even consciously understood what she was doing. She was panicking because I'm going through a divorce. She doesn't know what's happening.
And you're also like, once you get a hit of like the drug, you're so like, yes. need the hit.
And that's a great thing to point out. And I think that would probably be my other advice was, this is a drug currently.
Yeah.
Hooking up with a woman is a drug right now because
right.
it is something that you have
right.
wanted so bad, and you're finally allowing yourself
yep.
to open up an experience that it feels like that's all that matters right now. But you have all this other shit that does matter. You've got your kids that need
yes.
attention,
your
that
relationship
are going through
with
something
your ex.
terrible, relationship with your ex,
right?
All this other shit that really needs your attention
critically.
And so, yeah, like bouncing off of your advice of like not dating, like,
right.
yes,
just focus on
unless
the other
you
shit.
have like the most willpower in the fucking world that you can date and be like, this is where it's standing. And like,
I don't know anybody with that.
I don't either.
So it's like, you can't resist. So you do it. But I watch these women now, because we know a lot of them coming out from the show and just in general. And it's like, if you could just say to yourself, somebody will be there at the end. Give them 6 months. Say, call me in 6 months if you're still available. Mm-hmm. And just literally say to yourself, I am going to only build friendships right now. I am going to only work on me. I promise you, you will be in a better situation a year from now.
Yeah. But we get in that scarcity mindset.
Yeah, it's not real.
It's not real.
Yeah.
And I felt that like so much the past few years of like dating and being like, it's scarce out there.
Yeah.
There's not enough people. Like, I better make it work with this person
yeah.
because there's no one else.
Right.
And that I feel like that's what so many people are doing, especially when they are staying in those like toxic relationships. It's like, you're like, there's no one else that's going to fit me the way that this person
right.
does. But there is.
Right.
It's kind of weird because for the longest time, I believed in like the whole like soulmate thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's one person out
I've
there for me.
Her.
I've got to find that person. And I really thought that my ex-husband was.
Sure.
And I think in a way he is, but I think you can like have multiple.
Yeah.
Like there's not just one person. There's 7 billion people on the
right.
planet, 8 billion.
Right.
Like, there's not just one person for you.
No. And you evolve in these relationships to become something else so that then you're ready for something else.
Yeah.
No, I don't think, I think if you could take that time and space, you will be far happier long term.
Yeah.
Work on your business, your work, there's so many things, your children.
Yeah.
So,
all right, we've got a couple more. I know we're getting close on time, but I'll just pop these off.
okay.
If you're in a heterosexual relationship when you realize, don't try to force yourself to make it work when it clearly no longer is. It just prolongs the misery. Divorce or breakups in general are painful and scary, but worth it to be able to live your truth. 100% agree.
Yeah.
I know that is such a hard leap to take, though. To trust yourself the first time and do not go back into the closet.
Yeah.
Coming out opens the door to a unique community and culture while bringing you closer to your authentic self. Don't let the fear of being single stop you. Sexuality and dating is only one perk of being out. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Dating women is much different than dating men. Don't play hard to get. Don't wait for the other person to make the first move. Don't accidentally fall into heterosexual relationship norms. Totally agree. Because if you're sitting there waiting for someone else to, like, text you,
Yeah.
good luck.
It's like at the grocery store, like that where you were talking about, like, don't wait around for this perfect scenario of this person to show up.
Yeah.
Just do it. And you can hide behind social media. Like, get on your Insta.
Yeah. Sneak into those DMs.
Sneak into those DMs.
Sneaky. Trust your self-expression and your truth. You won't always be the only one. And don't marry your catalyst.
Yes.
I think that is again,
Sometimes it
works. I do know there's a few of you
Yeah.
who make it work, and it's beautiful.
Sometimes you win in Vegas.
Sometimes you win in Vegas.
Sometimes you do. And
not us.
no, so I think you just literally don't fall for the scarcity thing. That is the biggest lie out there.
Yeah. And you never know, your person could be in a relationship right now.
For sure.
So they might be going through the beginning of this.
And I think they're not out in the way that I envision them to be. Like, I think I thought you would go to the gay bar and there's my
There's just
prospects. They're
everybody.
all there.
Not
Who
the
do you
case.
want? No, they're not there. The people that I've dated even along the way, none of them ever were at bars.
Yeah.
So it's like I would have never met any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think about our group. Like, they were mostly just chill women with families. Think about the women we've had on our show.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got kids. They're you. They're me. They just don't have that kind of bandwidth.
Yeah.
So you have to dig a little deeper.
Get on the apps. Go to those events.
Yeah.
Where you're the only 42-year-old in the room.
Go to those TED Talks. Meet the experts.
I know. Go give a TED Talk on being gay and see who comes up to you
Yeah.
afterward.
Oh my God, it's actually kind of a good idea. Or like the meetups. Don't you feel like you could lead a meet? Like if a meetup's for women and it's like a running or like an exercise meetup, there's probably a higher probability of gay women than...
I mean, that's why I joined CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I had zero luck.
Well, that's because where it was probably. If you did CrossFit in Decatur,
I mean, true.
come on. I mean, you know where I told you is the dog park.
That's right. You did say the dog park the other day. So if you need to borrow someone's dog.
Listen, you can borrow mine because she's a huge pain in the ass right now. Please borrow mine. Take her right on over to the park.
You know what? Dog parks actually give me a little bit of anxiety because I'm always worried that a dog fight's going to break out.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
We don't, not in this. I mean, it's a neighborhood dog park. It's not like Piedmont.
I mean, but still, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. We don't want anyone getting hurt.
Yeah. I'm like, do I have a fear of dogs? Maybe.
Yeah. That's hilarious. All right. Well, we better call it.
Yep.
All right. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Want to support the Lesbian Chronicles podcast? Rate us and write a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
We love listener feedback. If you'd like to share your story, email us at melissaandalli@gmail.com. That's Melissa, MELISA, and Alli, ALLI, @gmail.com. Or follow us on Instagram at Lesbian Chronicles.